Good morning everyone, and welcome to another motorcycling video. I think this is the first one for probably 12 months since I've been in Tasmania recording videos. I'm using, as you can see in the title here, two cameras. One that's in a chest harness, the one that I normally use when I'm running, and I've used a couple of times when I'm on my Can-Am Spider, and the second one which you can just see sitting on top of the left wing mirror. For the first part of this video you will be seeing footage from the chest camera, and then later on you will see the same journey from the camera on the wing mirror. Because I'm recording this later, I can tell you exactly what happened. I had both cameras turned on for the downward journey, the one I'm doing now, and I thought I'd mix up the footage there, have a little bit of each, and then when I came back I put the camera on the wing mirror and thought I had turned it on, which I had, but I forgot to press record, so unfortunately did not get the return journey. So anyway, I'm on the Suzuki Burgman 650 AN executive scooter, and I'm in Launceston in Tasmania, and I'm riding down to the spot where I'm going to start my morning run. And in the first part of this video I'm going to take you through some of the controls and things that happen on the Burgman. So we just have to try and make sure that what I'm saying matches with what I'm showing you with my hands at the time. Now, one of the things I had to do, I've been in Tasmania now for a bit over a week. One of the things, I've ridden this bike now a couple of times, but one of the things that I had to do when I got on it was to remember that I was riding a two-wheeler instead of a three-wheeler. Now, if you follow my other videos, you'd know that I have a Can-Am Spider. So automatically now I'm on two wheels again, and I've got to remember that I've got one less contact patch and I'm a little less stable because of that. I also had to remember that I don't have a pedal near my right foot for the brake, but I do have two levers on the handlebars, and both of those are for the brakes, the right one for the front brakes and the back one for the left one for the back brakes, two discs on the front and one at the back. I also have to remember that there's no clutch on this bike. It has what's called a CVT, or constantly variable transmission, which is often referred to on scooters as twist and go, which literally means that you just twist the throttle, the twist grip, and the bike will go. I also have to remember that when I stop the bike I've got to put a foot down to keep the bike stable and upright, and you'll see that happening fairly shortly when I'm coming to some traffic lights. And I had to remind myself that when I come to a stop and before I get off the bike, to flick the kickstand down, otherwise the bike's going to fall over. So those are all things that I had to remember, and I've questioned in the past the idea of muscle memory, but as the song says, it's all coming back to me, and so I got on the bike a few times and things did come back to me. Now I'm going to just take you through some of the things that happen with this bike. On the right hand handlebar you can see a red switch on the top, which is the kill switch, and then another red switch which is the emergency flashes and the starter button, and then there is a button which I'm going to demonstrate very shortly, which shows you the windscreen rising and falling. It's electrically operated, and I guess it has about 30 or 40 millimetres of movement between the highest and lowest position. I often keep it in the lowest position, especially when I'm riding at low speed in a town like this, so that I get a good airflow into my face and so on. And then later on, when I'm out of town, I put it in the higher position. On the left-hand handlebar, there are a few other controls which are much more interesting. First of all, you can, I think I've already demonstrated, but on the top there is a blue button which, when you push, allows the mirrors to fold in. And you're probably wondering why you would want such a thing. Well, think about it, mirrors that fold in on your car. So when you go into a tight parking space, or you want to make sure that your mirrors don't get swiped by someone else, that's why they fold in. So you can do the same thing with the mirrors on this motorcycle, just to fold them in if you're lane splitting or if you're in a tight parking spot, to make sure they don't get broken off. You can see an orange switch which is marked up and down, and just below that is a yellow switch, and the yellow switch says D or M. I think the D must stand for direct or automatic transmission, and the M for manual. So you can put this bike in the manual mode, and then using that orange switch which says up and down, you can manually change gears up, obviously first, second, third, and so on, down third, second, first, and so on. Now, the advantage of doing it manually is that when you're out on the highway, and this bike is very good on the highway, and you're on the open road, is that the bike will then allow you to access a sixth gear, which is like an overdrive. When you're driving here in the city, in urban areas, you're probably not going to be going much over 50 kilometres an hour anywhere, so you're not going to need the overdrive. But when you're out on the open road, you're going to need that overdrive to get you better fuel economy. And so the manual option is very good when you're on the open road, when you're touring, but not so good. And I often just leave it in the auto mode or direct mode when I'm in the city, but when I go out riding in the countryside, I use the manual mode. There is a handbrake which I didn't show you, which is down on the dashboard below the right-hand glove box thing, and it's of course for the purpose of like a handbrake in your car, park brake. Bikes have a tendency sometimes to roll off the stand, so the park brake is an additional measure to make sure that doesn't happen. You can see the dashboard there, and I'm now just pointing out those two pockets or glove boxes that are on either side of the dash there. And they're about big enough to hold a mobile phone and something small like that. And underneath the keys, which you can see there in the ignition, and the one with the red tag is for the top box, underneath that is a locked panel, which is not really, it's sort of big enough for your phone, I guess, but it has a 12-volt socket in it, so you can plug a phone charger or something like that into it and charge your music, charge your phone up if you need to. Indicator switch, of course, is on the left-hand handlebars. And so I think I've probably given you there a pretty good rundown of what the controls of the motorcycle are. I didn't mention just above that yellow switch it says D or M is another black switch that says power, and how that works is if you are in direct mode, D mode or automatic mode with the CVT, and you feel like you need a bit of extra power to get up a hill or something, you press the power button and you'll get an extra set of revs and so on. And there's an orange light that comes on the dash, so you can, to remind you that's what you've got, that you've got that feature engaged. Now you can see the second camera on the wing mirror there, and that's the one that I hope to film the return journey with, but something went wrong. The camera operator is the worst camera operator in the world. Another thing I should mention about this bike is it does not have a reverse gear, and it's about 220 kilos, so you've got to frog walk it or crab walk it back into spaces like that. Now here's the same footage, only I'm featuring the camera on the wing mirror this time, and I'm riding down from my house, which is in the suburb of Trevelyan, on the western side of the Tamar River, sort of north of the CBD of Launceston, and obviously over on the western side, but up on, as you can probably tell by the terrain as the bike's going down the road here, it's up on quite a hilly section. And this is a residential area, of course. Just down on the right there is the public school, and there's a shopping centre. There's an oval where they play cricket, and there's, as I said, a small shopping centre that has a post office and a cafe and so on. And all of this area is just residential area. This footage was all filmed around 6:30 in the morning. On my way to, as I said, going down to my place where I want to start my run. You'd think sometimes as I said before, in Goulburn, you just go out the door and start running, and sometimes I do that, but from where I am, it's quite steep uphill run, and I did do that the other day. It's quite a steep uphill run for about a kilometre before you sort of levels out, and it's all very well and good running down this hill here. But eventually you've got to turn around and run back up, and you probably should do that every now and again, but not every day. So coming down here, this is called Pitt Avenue, and on the left-hand side, just about now, is a place called Lions Park. A park put together by the Lions Club of Riverside. I think the land belongs to the council, but the Riverside Lions Club are the people who provided the play equipment and the barbecues and things like that are there. There's also a dog park there, an off-leash dog park, and there's a bit of a BMX track there. Just down here on the corner, coming up, is a very small shopping centre where there's a place called Pomona Pizza that obviously does pizzas, it does kebabs and a few other Saturday night treats like that, good for a takeaway on a Saturday night. The gentleman who runs it, I don't know his name, but he's always very pleasant and friendly. And whilst I'm not being paid to do a commercial for him, I think that the food there is reasonably priced. So heading down now towards the West Tamar Road or West Tamar Highway, going in the direction we went in the first part of this footage, but as I said, using the camera on the wing mirror, so you get a slightly different perspective than from just the rider's point of view. I see a funny view of the windscreen of the motorcycle there, because I was demonstrating the folding ability of those mirrors, and so the mirrors were sort of folding in, and you could see the side of the windscreen then. Now, this is one of those occasions when I had to remember to put my foot down as I was coming to a stop so the bike would stay upright. And as I say, most of those things come back to you fairly quickly once you get on the bike, but that first or even second time when you get on the bike, you've got to think, now what are the things I need to remember here, because I'm riding on two wheels, not three. I've got to remember this bike does lean, and I've got to remember that it's only got a small contact patch, one behind the other, rather than those two contact patches at the front of the Spider, where the wheels are very set wide apart. I've set it a few times almost as wide as a small hatch. And coming up here is the tail race hydro power station on the right hand side, and the tail race inlet. The water is pumped down into the power station and used to generate electricity, and then obviously released into the tail race inlet a couple of times a day, I think early in the morning and later in the evening. And I've noticed that I think the water must come out warm or something or other, and also it must obviously stir up a lot of food and things in the water, because the pelicans and geese and swans and ducks and all sorts of things gather around where the water is released. I think, as I said, because it might have a bit of warmth about it for one thing, but also because it churns up food. This is, as I said, is the West Tamar Highway, and I'm sort of going south towards Launceston CBD, and I'm going to pull into a parking area shortly for the Launceston Rowing Club, or the Tamar Rowing Club, and it's called that obviously because it's right on the bank of the Tamar. And there are a couple of rowing clubs that have sheds and facilities for their boats on the river here. There's this one here, and there's one for Scotch Oakburn, which is one of the public schools, and I think there's also one for St Patrick's College, which is Scotch Oakburn, is a private school, and St Patrick's College obviously is a private school. I think rowing's very big amongst some of those schools. There's a lot of traffic, not at this time as you can see, but later on in about an hour's time when I'm finished running, coming back here, a lot of traffic coming down the West Tamar Highway from Riverside and further up the hill, further up the highway from a little township called Lagana, which is growing all the time, but even despite its growth, it's mainly residential growth, housing growth, and still the people who live there come down the West Tamar Highway into Launceston, the CBD, I think mostly for their work. So this is a parking area that's been set aside here. I think it's free parking along here. And the parking area where I'm going, I'm not sure if it belongs to the rowing club. There's certainly no signs to saying rowing club patrons only or something like that, so I'm assuming that everybody's allowed to park there. And when I'm in Tasmania and I'm running in this area, I frequently park here and sort of run up the trail there back the way I've just come, or down past the rowing club in the direction the cars are going there.